This is Peak Earth. I'm Case Bradford. Thanks for tuning in to this episode with Ryan Carter. He's known as Live Vitae, and Ryan is a nutritional therapist focused on health optimization. He's been in the game a long time. He has a deep and powerful wisdom. Ryan is also a nomadic entrepreneur and content creator. He joined us for this conversation from Nicaragua, where he was hanging out in the cafe. You can hear monkeys and birds in the background. It rains at one point. It sounds like a beautiful place. And we discussed some of the differences between South America, Central America, and the Western world, as well as some of the keys to health and Ryan's journey to getting to where he is today. It's a place of mastery, a place of understanding, and a place to be able to share what he knows and what he's learned with his clients and the world. I appreciate you tuning in. Really hope you enjoy this conversation. If you'd like to spread the love, share the episode across social media. That really warms my heart, means a lot to me, and leaving a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple is another way to contribute and to send some good vibes my way. Without any further rambling from me, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy this episode with Ryan Carter, Live Vitae. Let's get a quick stretch and then we'll go.
Let's do it.
All right. I'm here today with Ryan Carter. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Glad to be here. We were talking a little bit before this and we just had to hit record because we were already jumping right into the flow. And you are Live Vitae online. That's your website. That's your social media handle. Did I pronounce that correctly, or do you have a different pronunciation?
That's it. Live Vitae. So basically it represents living life. Essentially what we just talked about earlier, living life on your terms. Again, it's a N=1 game, health, life. You can flex it, do what you like with it. So again, that's the whole principle with my brand or what I do as a nutritionist. It's like understanding and discovering each and everyone's like way of living, and then optimize it or tweaking it to their suitable needs based on their goals or what's going on.
How did you come to this practice, this philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, it probably stemmed from my own health issues, and it stemmed from me also asking better questions. So when you ask better questions, you usually get better answers depending on how plastic or open, flexible your mind is. So again, I was just diving into the health space, went on obviously the bulletproof bandwagon, the bulletproof train. And then I was like, well, this is kind of like, doesn't really make sense. And I think I heard one of Dave Asprey's critics said a few things, and I was like, oh, I never pondered the idea of that. And then basically just had listened to a counter argument. And I was like, oh, there's two sides of a coin here. And then that spiraled into other things. And then it was wrapped around my own health issues or health journey itself. And it was just like, I wasn't really getting the real answers, or the questions that my questions have evolved, and the questions that I was asking was very poor. So then I was just getting these shitty answers. And then I wasn't really changing anything. And I was just like just thinking, on like this causes that. That's the problem. And not understanding how like the essence of life, or like, why am I doing this? Understanding the why behind things. Why would I want to go on a low carb diet? Why do I really need to go high with protein? Why do I need to train? All these kind of things. And then it's just lessons learned, then unlearned, then relearned, basically. And just continuously recycling that process, basically.
It is this journey, where there's ups and downs, there's peaks and valleys, and the approach that you're taking is so powerful. Looking at it from a question angle, because everyone's looking for answers. Yeah. They're not thinking about, how can I ask a question here? What led you?
Well, I mean, with that, there's no answer. There's no end point with your journey or with health. Health in itself is just a state. It's not a destination. So again, like you're always going to be chasing it if you take that approach instead of being it and embracing it. You're always going to be searching for the answers. And really in like modern science, especially, or these evidence-based narrative, it's just going to be inconclusive because it just doesn't exist. And in itself, that's kind of pseudoscientific of what life is about, when it's based on like physical laws or probability scales. And I think that's the key thing to really understand. It is not a destination. Like, oh, I'm gonna be healthy when I do this, or that's healthy to me when I'm gonna be like 100 kilos and I can squat that. No, because again, the bar will always be going. Like, I'm speaking from experience, like the goal of mine was to be 100 kilos. I achieved that. The goal of mine once before was to lift like 200 kilos. I've done that. So again, the bar always increases. And that's what it's about as well, pushing the boundaries, because there is no boundary. Where there's it's just life, it's living.
Is there a way that you perceive health in your own body when you wake up as Ryan? How are you sort of taking a read? How are you tuning your body every day? Is it like your mood, your energy levels, the way that you slept, the way that your body mind performs, and then you're sort of shifting your actions to sort of coordinate all that?
Yeah. So again, that feedback mechanism, the self-reflective process that you're referring to is variable as well. But again, I do think there's this nice principle of happy, like content within yourself, a bit of gratitude coming about what you've done, what you're doing, who you're around. So that's happy. And then there's horny. So like some like libido, some like morning wood essentially for a man. I think that's fairly strong. And then the next one would be hungry. And that doesn't mean to like, okay, cool, I could eat a 10 ounce steak. It's just be, yeah, I could eat something right now. Things are good. And again, that's coming from the reproductive. That's coming from consumption. And that's coming from a state of mind. So again, these are three powerful factors to consider when we think about optimal health and how I'm feeling. So again, that costs like literally nothing to do. You don't need like an Oura ring. You don't need to subscribe to that algorithm, which in my opinion is just bullshit. You don't need to do all these kind of things. You don't need to journal. You can just literally do that a few 2 moments in your brain. Bang, there you go. And again, like my day would lightly, not really change from that, because again, like I could have an amazing conversation with someone in a coffee shop as an example, and that would just put me in an amazing state of mind and just change my day completely. Or I could basically screw my calendar up and like be overwhelmed with work and to-do lists, and that would also like that morning, oh wow, it's going to be a great day ahead. So again, I'm always like adjusting and adapting. And again, that whole point of being fluid, we don't want to be rigid. And then that's obviously when things are just going to go spiral out of control, and then like we haven't got that flexibility, and then you're just going to downer. Then next thing you know, you're shoveling like tacos and hamburgers in because your day wasn't perfect. So we've got to be flexible in the whole sense, and that's even like especially so living in a modern society with abundance everywhere and information everywhere. We have to be so flexible. We have to be very aware of ourselves.
It's almost like someone learning to play the guitar. They've got the notes. They're like, okay, I'm going to no blue light at night. I'm going to get sunshine in the morning. And then you're like Jimi Hendrix at this point. You're just shredding on the guitar, riffing in the moment.
Yeah.
It's like you've achieved a level of mastery.
Once you dial in your light environment, everything else within reason becomes more efficient and effortless. That's the whole key of health, making things efficient. And again, when we go down to like sort of the CICO, calories in, calories out, micronutrient sort of bandits out there, like you can get bogged down with all this kind of stuff. And once you dial in your light environment, everything like your metabolism, how your mitochondria, these organelles inside your cell, which we harvest and excite energy from, they hum better, basically. So again, you actually have less concern and need around food. You become more efficient with the energy that you're using or the way you're storing energy as well. So you actually need less. And again, this is true abundance, really. Because again, like more money doesn't always mean like more happiness. Like more food doesn't actually mean more energy. And this is sort of a narrative or an assumption that a lot of people make in this space. And again, there's so much assumptions from the quote unquote experts out there, self-acclaimed experts. And unfortunately, there's obviously these assumptions from the listener who's obviously just getting spoon-fed the spills about this and that, or some backhand with affiliations and all these kind of things. But again, it's really up to you to decipher and sieve out all this kind of crap. And again, I like to disrupt this sort of this space. I mean, I don't enjoy calling people out, but again, it does like turn heads and like, okay, he's saying this. So again, it is provocative, but again, it's nothing personal when I'm saying like Carnivore Aurelius is like talking trash, doesn't even have a clue about what he's going on about. And again, it's not like he's a bad person. I think he talks a lot of good things. And again, for someone coming into the space who doesn't know anything, yeah, all for it. Like, listen to his stuff. But again, it's only going to take you so far. And again, it's going to take you down to this thing of like, okay, there's the end point, because that's that one narrative and one belief stemming from like Pitarians or Ray Pete as an example. And clearly he had a few things wrong in his approach if you actually listened to how he spoke, because something like seriously is not firing or wasn't firing there. But again, it's just like you as a person have to take all these, even me, like you're taking pinches or things from what I'm saying, what they're saying, what Grimhood's saying, what a lot of these people are saying, and then try to make sense out of that. And again, that's another function of health, is making sense out of this chaos all around us, which could be light, which could be food, because at the end of the day, food is coming into our body in a chaotic state in our gut, and we need to break this down. And that's really chaos. It's not like this conveyor belt, oh, this lovely piece of leucines coming in here, and it's going to get elegantly like snipped at that place there and get put onto that sort of muscle over here. It doesn't really work like that. And again, the more efficient you are in the grand scheme of things, as your body's like a orchestra and everyone's in synergy here and playing on the same hymn sheet or the same tune of music, it becomes easy. And again, like, I honestly don't lose my mind with nutrition that much. Again, it's very important, but I don't lose my mind to it. I just optimize my whole body and outlook, and even the way I'm like discussing psychology or whatever you want to call it, mindset. It's the same thing. It's in harmony. It's coherence. It's flowing. So again, it becomes like I train like bloody hard, but again, I don't lose my mind to it. I'm not in the gym like 2 hours a day or obsessing or even taking creatine and things like this. I just build muscle and get strong because everything's dialed in. That's how easy it should really be working.
And you mentioned the foundation of that is sunshine, the solar energy from our closest star. And that's part of what drove you from London down to Central America. It's also a big part of what drove me from New Hampshire out to Los Angeles, just being able to get more sunshine. It really is the foundation of health in a lot of ways. And it's so neglected by everyone trying to count their calories and their macronutrients. How did your life shift when you made the move from England down to Central America, where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, my maybe it's like 2 years before making the move, my life was fairly much like free and like there's so again, I'm big for the decentralized approach. And again, as a nutritional therapist, it's pretty much a decentralized job. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, which essentially is maybe not really a nutritionist. There's some context with that, but dietitians have to follow some guidelines. As a nutritional therapist, I can be very flexible and adaptable to my clients and read in between the lines and then connect the dots and whatnot. So again, I was fairly decentralized in my approach before moving. I was in England. And then when I came down to Mexico, that's the first place I went to, it was like a night and day difference. Like silence, the jungle, the water cycles are different here as well. So again, we've got humidity, being close to the water more, grounding all day, seeing life, seeing how people live in a different environment. Even in Nicaragua, which is like the poorest country in Central America, like it is so eye-opening with your perception of everything. And like recently I said that thing about pondering, where you see a lot of people in Central America and South America literally just pondering. And what that means is basically being on a hammock or on a chair, just on their porch, and just like literally just sitting there, doing jack shit. Now, in a Western mentality, that would be like, you're lazy, bro. Like, what are you doing? Get off your ass, clean up your yard, or get a job. Well, again, their values is not about making money. They don't need to make money. Their life, their values is tied to just enjoying themselves and just being. So again, this perception of me seeing this is like, wow, where am I? What does where's my value coming from? And then it just basically solidified to time. So time is your biggest like capital. And again, it's all about slowing down the time to be able to doing the things that you want to do with your life. So again, that could be, if you really want to, that could be like skydiving. That could be partying at nightclubs and enjoying yourself, dancing. That could be free diving. That could be playing soccer. That could be playing time, spending time with your kids. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, because that's where you have your value and your enjoyment out of life. And then with that, you can appreciate, you have more appreciation, and you can do the things that you want to, and life doesn't speed up. Because again, when we're inflamed, when we're living this Western sort of domestication, life goes like you burn through it. I speak to my dad and he's like, and it's just like, whoa, like, what are you doing? So again, this was a big like eureka moment essentially. And it has just changed my perspective. And again, I don't think I'd ever go back to a Western country to actually live for good.
So people are just out there pondering. You mean they're not on their phones just like this all day, every day? They're actually interacting with their own consciousness and contemplating life in like in a serious way. What a wild concept. I can only imagine the benefits that would stem from that downstream, being able to actually reflect on the life that they're being lived instead of being sucked into technology 24/7 and other people's ideas.
I mean, again, it's kind of ironic that we as like consumers are taking information from a social media medium, which again is a severe detrimental, has severe detrimental effects on our health. So again, we really need to understand this, not abuse this. It's so easy. It's designed to be addictive, no doubt about it. However, like, we have to have that critical thinking where like, okay, cool, maybe I have to put some boundaries in place. Maybe I have a timer. Maybe I just do it twice a day or whatever it is. Otherwise, yeah, like holding phones, being connected all the time, disconnects you from nature essentially. Disconnects you from your body, because again, you're always going out. You're outsourcing your thinking. You're outsourcing like your learning ability to think for yourself. You're outsourcing your connections. And again, speaking to someone in real life, even like meeting a girl in real life, has got nothing on Tinder or Bumble, whatever it is. Like, the comparison is just like so far-fetched. And like the butterflies when you go up to speak to a girl, like, oh, I need to talk to her. I need to do it. This is my chance. And again, like, you can't get that experience. So again, it's basically creating like a fallacy with health. And like these again, a new word is a keyboardarian, basically a keyboardarian, where like they're giving out all this information about health, nutrition, all this kind of stuff, trying to convince you to go vegan. Like, yeah, but like, you're living a pathetic life. Why would I want to like listen to what you're doing when you can't even like do anything that's like amazing for a human to do? You're just spouting stuff behind a keyboard. That's not how humans function.
No, it's sad, and you're sharing a really important message. There are so many people suffering under the exact conditions that you just described. So many keyboardarians who are living this life that is just it's not good.
Yeah, and again, that's like when you see people like Liver King. Obviously, he's got a team behind the scenes doing his stuff. Again, if he had to do it himself, maybe it'd be a different thing. But again, he's like, the thing that I rate about him is like, he's living it. He's practicing what he preaches. He's got skin in the game. Even like Paul Saladino, I don't agree with some of the stuff that he says, but he's got skin in the game. He's got a team doing his thing lightly, but he's got skin in the game. He's doing it. So again, I really respect these people who are literally skin in the game. But the issue is when they personally, or their brand, bend it to fit their narratives. And again, because again, at the end of the day, they have conflict of interest. Me, I have no conflict of interest. I might have a few affiliations with a red light device, blue light blocking glasses. I don't actually think I plug them that much. But again, my conflict is my clients. That's all I care about, and obviously myself. That's who I got skin in the game for. Not like manipulating data points to show that, yeah, like some green vegetables are going to kill you, or honey is superior source of nitrates comparing to like green vegetables, which is just absurd. So again, we have to always take like things with a pinch of salt in a space.
Absolutely essential. Yeah, and you're, instead of doing all of that, you're actually living life. You're down exploring a very cool area with a lot of monkeys and sunshine and ocean. And what are some interesting experiences that you've had down there? Is it an
Yeah, I
adventurous place?
mean, encounters with the policia here. So some things on the sly for not wearing a helmet. That they do happen down here. For me, like another one was recently going out. I was hanging out with someone who works for me, who came out to Nicaragua, a 20-year-old, and he's studying to become a nutritional therapist and like following my footsteps. And again, his energy being a 20-year-old, and I say his name, Luis, and was like game changing for me. I feel like I'm not an old man, I'm 36, but like being around him was just like powerful. And then going out to the fiestas here, listening to reggaeton, staying out to 2 a.m. in the morning, waking up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. and like being able to bounce back, but enjoying myself, like dancing and like going with the flow was like an amazing experience for myself. Just how simple life is, what it's really about. And again, that whole thing about pondering. I climbed a mountain, a volcano, 2 days ago for Christmas Day using my earth runners, which was a pretty cool thing. And again, we had a local guide, and the guy was like unbelievable. He was like a goat, basically. He was like, he could run up that volcano, and there's three of us, and we're like, oh my God, like we're like holding onto the trees, and it was tough. That was extremely challenging, but we've done that. Stars, seeing the stars at nighttime, again, that should be normal, yet in a Western world, completely absent. Listening to the sound of waves at nighttime, especially the crushing sound of the waves hitting the beach or the rocks. Just seeing poverty, seeing what it's really like with nothing, essentially, is powerful. But also the flip side is also seeing them also doing the same mistakes that the Western world is doing as well. And again, unfortunately, they get spoon-fed the Western shit, propaganda, manipulation with like vegetable oils, or not laziness, but like, oh, you get more money, that means that you don't have to cook and you can order, you eat out more. And again, you can see the obesity problems here. Or again, even these people, they actually have obviously more melanin than I do, but yet they actually wear sun cream. They actually avoid the sun because they're scared of the sun, or they just can't physically tolerate it because they get migraines from the power from the blue light in natural light. So again, it's really interesting to see in the flip side of this. And again, obviously, yeah, again, you can see what's going to happen. Like when technology expands and it gets cheaper for them to integrate it, like they're just going to be like Americans or Europeans, basically.
And who's happier, would you say? The average Nicaraguan, the people that you're hanging out with, or the people in London?
Definitely the Nicaraguans for the majority. However, like it's like the perspective is they probably aspire to be and experience the London life though, because for them this is what it's been sort of portrayed what life is about, with like the flash cars, going out, the sophistication, having everything on demand, having like they don't even have Amazon here, bro. They don't even have postal addresses here. So again, it's just like, this is what they lightly aspire to. Not all of them, maybe the younger generation, because again, social media has touched it. It is everywhere. Kids nowadays are on the screen. Like there's kids here like 10 years old with a mobile phone. So again, it's sort of, it has been like distorted in a certain way, but also on the flip side, for the Westerner people being in London, depending on their age, it's maybe now too scary to embark on, to be decentralized, to live in this kind of place. Because again, there's obviously some excuses and some true responsibilities now, but also the choices that they made, they never had this perspective of what's available or what's out there where they could actually live this kind of life. So again, people give me stick online saying, okay, it's very easy for you to say this whilst in Central America. Well, again, I'm very grateful for the choices that I've made in my life for me to allow to be here. Like, I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. I don't have a girlfriend as such. I don't have a business property. I'm very, and then there's my personality is like helpless to a certain degree. And again, I'm here, and of course I'm going to take the advantage, and of course I'm going to promote it and tell other people out there that this is possible. And like maybe younger generations, there's more probabilities of attaining this. But again, there's never say never. Like you said, you moved, you took the risk. I would say actually California is probably not good enough. You probably need to come down further south, to be honest with you. And again, you also made an assumption that your sunlight is decent there. Okay. And again, it's different. And again, just because it's sunny and just because you might have skin in a game, it actually doesn't mean that you're even making any photo byproducts either. So again, most people in like Northern America, even the people in like Texas or Miami, and again, you hear practitioners talk about this. I think my friend Dan Gardner was talking about some of his clients that they're in the South and their vitamin D levels are still in the toilet. It's because, again, there's an assumption that just because you go in the sun, you think you're making vitamin D, but the process behind it is actually quite complex. You actually need to have optimal health to make vitamin D in the first place. And again, that's like based on water chemistry. There's a circadian mechanism there as well. And again, there's some other like systems involved within the liver and kidneys and whatnot. But again, it's not as easy, and like the assumptions are there. And it's also the assumptions with like, okay, just count your calories or go in a calorie deficit or just take creatine or just eat more protein, that's just going to translate to like being healthier. Because again, I listen and I look at the people giving this advice, and I'm like, well, there's a bit of a disconnect to what you're saying and what actually is like you look like, basically. It doesn't really stack up. There's something amiss here. And then there'd be like fear around like pesticides and all this kind of stuff, which again, there's some real concern with that. However, like they haven't got skin in the game. They're still stuck in a microwave city or accommodation. They look trash, and like they're more concerned in spreading fear around pesticides than actually truly living life and doing other more robust things to combat it. And again, once you have optimal health, everything that you're concerned about within the environment everything that you're concerned about with like microplastics, with heavy metals, mold, all this kind of stuff, they basically just blow away. And again, you know, the thing like an aura where people say, oh, he's got a good aura, or when you just feel like so robust within yourself and you're around negative people and they just talk shit or they say bad things and they just got a bad vibe. You know, when you can just repel that shit and just like blow it away, it doesn't even touch you. This is basically what happens when you have optimal health. Your redox, your negativity inside your cell is so strong that basically nothing can actually come in and disturb how your cell is fundamentally functioning. That's what redox and good optimal health is about. Of course, if you are literally just drinking sunlight, sun-exposed plastic bottles, a shit ton of mercury from fish, and you've got amalgams, taking antibiotics, like you can't really combat that. But again, like within reason, give your body the chance to truly express itself in this higher level, this high redox state. Nothing can touch you. It's like nada, nothing. Like this is how your body works. And again, being in Central America, like mold is everywhere. Like again, in the Western world, from certain practitioners, it's feared upon, it's scared of. Actually, it's a little bit is healthy for you. It actually turns on some antioxidant response elements, which actually stimulate better health. And actually, mold is found in coffees for that reason. Again, coffee is grown in this environment. It's stored in this environment. It could or should have some mold on it. Again, maybe not extreme levels, but maybe a little bit. But again, the issue here is people drinking coffee where they shouldn't really be drinking coffee, because coffee is grown in high altitudes with high UV light. And again, why do people think they should be drinking coffee in the UK or New York or even LA to a certain degree? It doesn't really make sense. And again, this is the manipulation of our food system, where we think we can control it, play God or play Mother Nature, think we're smarter. It doesn't really work like that. And the more you do that, playing God, the more you're disconnected from how life fundamentally works, the worse your health would likely be, or the more control you would have to take to control this sort of allostatic or homeostatic regulation model. And again, that comes into the calories in, calories out narrative, where like you'd eat shit, but again, if you control your calories, it will be okay. You'll regulate your body weight. Well, again, there's a biological toll for that. That would be basically your mental health. And maybe down the line in 18 months where you just basically will just have to give up because your body can't cope it anymore. And again, we see this when people like Lane Norton like get shredded to promote their app, or they do like a powerlifting meet, and then like 2 months later he's just like ballooned. And again, like it's because he didn't count his calories, of course, and he's going to say that, and he had to let his hair like. But again, like it's because humans shouldn't really be counting calories. Again, calories actually don't even exist in physiological terms. They're nothing to do with energy or metabolism, essentially. They're a proxy of potential heat energy outside of the body. However, it doesn't mean that we should throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is some context there. And again, depending where you are. And again, living in this modern world, if you're eating pseudo food all the time, understanding, okay, calorie content is going to have a big effect, or going to be moving the needle and building the momentum on your journey. And again, it's building awareness. So again, everything is a tool out there, depending on your context, depending on where you are, what your goals are. But again, if we are truly efficient and have this redox state, and again, your whole lifestyle, where you're not on social media all the time, where you're not inundated with recipes, again, that's going to be a big reliever of your brain thinking of food all the time. Or when you're walking down in Santa Monica, restaurant, cafe, they're going to flood the streets with the sweet aromas of these pastries. Again, this is very abnormal. This isn't how humans really evolved. We didn't have the luxurious smells of cinnamon rolls or whatever stuff is floating around in Santa Monica. Again, like we were just like feasting and fasting basically. And then when we did eat, we ate everything that was in sight. This is how, like, again, looking at a dog, basically a wild dog or any other wild animal, this is really how they work or function. Now, humans are slightly different because our brain is extremely developed and we're the most advanced species on this world. So again, maybe we did have some conservation where we say, okay, cool, we'll put that away for hibernation or when it gets cold, a bit like a squirrel with what it does with its nuts. Maybe humans did do that to some place in our evolution. But again, it's humans when we're in a state of inflammation and chaos, like we can't make sense out of anything. We don't have the rational thinking goes out the window. Common sense goes out the window. And again, like you're just going to be eating more, essentially. You're going to be craving the foods which give you the biggest bang for buck and are going to give you that biggest rewards, so that dopamine sort of reward firing. And again, you're just going to be craving that until you actually address the underlying causes. And again, it's all coming from the brain. And again, remember that light signal is coming into the brain from your eyes, and your eyes are an extension of your brain. But also your skin in the game, the skin is actually very much connected to your brain in how it evolves I can't pronounce the word. I can't even pronounce it. It's gone for me. But basically on the stem cell line, it's coming from the same germ line, basically.
Beautiful riff. You really got down to the root of a lot of the issues that we're having as a society. The skin is, functioning as a solar panel for our brain, and then everything else is connected to that. And so many people aren't able to make sense of the chaos in the world, and modern civilization is spiraling out of control because we're disconnected from everything that you just mentioned. And you did briefly mention a term redox. Would you mind just defining that quickly for folks listening who aren't
Yeah,
familiar with that
so
term?
it will be basically like your bank balance. Okay, so we have a positive and negative. The human body is technically net negative, and we want to maintain a net negative charge. And we have certain molecules around our body. Let's think of vitamin C, let's think of vitamin E, glutathione as an example. And again, they will be donating, they'll be gifting a electron essentially. And this would be basically the coming into the equation of a redox. And redox stands for reduction, oxidation. So reduction is, oxidation is loss, reduction is gain. So again, we want to be more reduced. We want to be more chemically reduced, not oxidized. When we become oxidized, obviously that is going to be having a distorted free radical signal. It's going to be leading to quicker speed of time, aka aging. You're going to be in a mess. When we're more reduced, we're actually like donating more. We're actually condensing things. We're actually flowing better, essentially. And again, like the redox is this basically net balance of the cell or the membrane potential, essentially. And again, this is going to be dictating how much flow, energy, how much intracellular water or easy water that you have in your body, the light that each and every cell and mitochondria release as well. So we actually endogenously release light. And that's when basically you can look at infrared cameras of humans or other animals, and you can see the infrared light release, essentially. The human body works the same way. And obviously, like from the ground, this is when we actually get and donate the most electrons in the body. When we're grounding on Earth, we're actually absorbing a lot of electrons, this negative energy. And actually, there's a difference with the electricity or this negative energy from your feet compared to your brain. Okay, so again, the higher you go off ground, the more positive or the less negative you become. So again, this is redox basically. And again, nutrition does have a component there. That's where we do eat quote unquote antioxidants, but we also consume pro-oxidants as well. So again, we can get too carried away with adding in more antioxidants or pro-oxidants. And where this is, we're becoming plain gods again, where really ancestrally, maybe we didn't have this sort of amount of broccoli sprouts that people tell us to eat. Maybe we didn't have this amount of fish oil, 5 grams a day, that people tell us that we were eating. Like if you actually broke that down to the amount of oysters you would need to eat for 5 grams fish oil a day, I doubt that person could consume that. So again, this is where like common sense goes out the window when we're in this nutritional science approach, where we think like evidence base is the godsend and we should just be dogmatic with data and numbers and statistics. Well, we lose our rational thinking of how evolution biology truly works.
That's a great definition and a powerful perspective to take on optimizing the body's wellness and health and vitality. You mentioned something really interesting a while back about the way life works, the fundamental nature of reality. How do you view sort of what all this is? Because I think a lot of people look at the human as a machine, but I think that's way off target, and that makes them kind of play God, taking all these inputs to get an output. It seems to me like we're more like this sort of energy cloud that can sort of create the future that we want to live in.
We're basically just consolidated of like atoms bouncing and bumping into each other, basically, and vibrating. So again, the speed of that vibration and combustion or bouncing around is going to be very much connected to your health and state of mind, basically. And the further, the more chaos that is, the more expansion that would be. And again, this would be basically where we get cancers, when we get obesity, because that increases size. And again, there's a biophysical change here that we see. And again, you can see this with blood work as well, with changes in red blood cells. Anything that increases in size is basically showing you that the thermodynamic efficiency has been reduced, and they need to create space to help out the signal. So again, when you have optimal health, you're shrinking this, and the atoms are basically working more coherently together. And again, it's a combustion of like light, heat. Again, it's the same thing. This energy flow and the magnetic field around these atoms and the way they're spinning, basically. And again, this is fundamentally how it works. We're not machines. We're not robots. We are very similar to like laptops in that sense with certain functions, but again, they don't have our brain. They're not, again, the brain of human body is just completely insane. A laptop, we use silicone, we all use carbon as an example. We'll still need charging, like using your charger to charge your laptop. But again, like we are truly disconnected, and we use nature basically to charge us. And nature, that would also be food. And again, remember, food is stored light energy anyway. So again, it always comes back to light, no matter how you look at it. And again, like how we even look at each other, basically what you're seeing is the light release on my skin. That's my complexion. You're seeing how my atoms are basically bouncing and reacting to each other. And that's basically my face. And obviously there's some genetics there which are holding things in place, my phenotypes and stuff like that. But the epigenetically, like, yeah, if I basically looked at blue light, my face would be aged more quickly. However, it's not. I'm looking at sunlight, and that's why I got pigmentation and melanin coming through. So again, that's basically just flexing like my folate physiology, or my copper and vitamin A, or even my plant phenols that I'll be eating, which will be influencing how much light I absorb and the actual chain reactions of their state of oxygen release, basically. So again, like this is that's how I see like human body. It's definitely not a machine. And again, this is where you come to the thing like, take this, you get that, or take 5 grams of creatine, increase in muscle mass by 20%. Like again, the body does not work like that. Sure, the studies might say it, and that's the average. But again, human bodies I'm definitely not average. And again, it doesn't really work like that. Definitely outside of research studies, we're real life creatures. But again, it's probably going to be more associated and connected when you're in the Western world, living like a zoo animal, basically. Because again, it's more controlled. When you're flexing and living life out here, there's more things like randomly happening. Like just now, there's just a storm. It's like literally just poured down for 2 minutes, and now the sun's shining again. Like this is just how random things are. However, the more control we have, the more stricter and the more maybe the science or the evidence-based narrative fits that, because it's controlled for. Okay, and that's why you're going to always see discrepancies with studies, and that's why you shouldn't really take them too seriously if you don't even understand the subjects and the design of a study and what it really truly means, and if it actually you need to give 2 fucks about it anyway.
Yeah, so true. And I've appreciated you sharing your deep knowledge on health and wellness, vitality. What are you kind of challenged with these days? Like, what are you focused on to try and create in the world? What's kind of top of mind for you and your soul's sort of focus
I mean,
these days?
I don't think big, like I'm going to change the world or anything like that. Again, at this moment in time, all I care about is my clients. And again, I care about spreading a good message and hopefully touch other people. But again, I'm not going to destroy my health to do so, or take the expense by doing it on social media and basically go against my integrity. And actually, like recently, just like last week, of being in like that volcano island in Nicaragua, and just being with 3 friends and just like discussing and pondering, like it's just like a eureka moment. It's like there's a cost to everything. And again, I don't mind being on social media and sharing stuff, but I don't really want to change or think I'm going to change the world by doing it, because again, it goes against what I'm trying to do. And again, it doesn't mean I'm not going to be there or do anything. It just means I'm just going to be have more boundaries in place. But yeah, my clients essentially, because again, that allows me to live the lifestyle that I want to create, but also promote to them as well. So it's actually they're paying me to live the lifestyle that maybe one of the reasons why they want to be working with me in the first place. Maybe they're seeing it in my eyes, and because I'm living it basically. I don't know, but like my clients, sharing this sort of information with like-minded people like yourself, I think is really powerful as well. But again, we're not taking things so seriously. We're just saying how it is, because again, like life is not serious; it's very random. And again, like we said even before starting this, is about having fun, about enjoying yourself, whatever that means to you. But doing it in a more like common sense, human derived way of existence. Because again, someone might say that, oh, just do what you enjoy. And for them, it might be just eating like Krispy Kremes. I'm not saying that. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm saying it on like human, Homo sapiens sort of terms of what thriving and living's like. And again, maybe it is Krispy Kremes every now and then. Like, that's fine. If you really want to live your life like that on your terms, that's not me. I mean, I don't drink. I have no desire to eat pseudo food. And again, for me, it's not even no discipline. It is just a way of living. I don't even think about these type of foods. I look at it and it's just like, it doesn't even exist. It's dead to me, basically. But again, I'm very different. I've been in the game for like 10 years to build this way of thinking. And again, I don't even think they're that bad if you got good health. It's just dead. It has no meaning for me. It has no value. Because again, my life is about my value, about my time. And for me, that would be costing my time and not giving me anything back in return. Maybe for a split second. But again, I can get that from eating like some amazing dark chocolate or a bit of small square of dark chocolate here, or really enjoying an espresso or something like that, and actually savoring it as well. Because that's it. The thing, I've got the time to savor it. I'm not running to Starbucks, like emptying it in my mouth whilst walking and catching a subway. I've built my life so I can have time to enjoy the smaller things, but for me, the more rewarding things in life.
Man, that's such a powerful message and so important in today's day and age. And I appreciate you taking the time to share it with me and everyone listening. And is there any last message or parting words that you'd like to share?
Yeah,
Please,
you said it. It's just like the skin is a solar panel. And again, I mean, I said it on some tweets as well. We're a decentralized moving solar panel. So when you have your skin in the game, like just have your skin in the game, have zero Fs about what people think. Again, I get laughed at here. They think like, who's this like tanned green? Like, I'm not even a gringo, tanned European guy, Australian. They might think I am because I got long hair. Like, they laugh at me. And again, I love it. I mean, I pretty enjoy it actually. But again, have zero Fs what people think of you. Just do you. Again, just start small. When I say skin in the game, obviously you have to be careful with the sun, because again, it can be dangerous if you haven't built up a solar callus. Just start small steps, and just always bring it back to the brain. Like your brain needs to be on point, because everything is led through a choice and behavior aspect, not from control or manipulation, but from your brain and from your values and your intentions of how you want to live your life and who you want to be, who you want to share it with, who you want to connect it with. So again, that would be my parting TED talk. My parting TED talk.
Awesome, Ryan.
Thank you very much.
You.